Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. As you can tell, we are going to be doing our January wrap up and our TBR jar picks. So I was planning on possibly doing these in two separate videos, but since I only read 4 books, I wasn't sure like how long of a video it might be, but I think this month I could read more than 4, to be honest. Since I started halfway through January and I finished 4 books, I think I could possibly tackle 5. That sounds a little bit ambitious for me, but I think we'll kind of just play it by ear depending on which videos are separate. Like if I do a separate wrap-up video and like a separate TBR jar video. I read 4 books in January and we're going to talk about each one of them, my rating and kind of what they're about, and then we will get into the TBR jar picking my reads. So the first book I finished in January was Merry Little Christmas by Lauren Blakely. I gave this one 3.5 stars. It was really cute for like, obviously it was very seasonal, it was very Christmassy. It wasn't my most favorite romance book that I've ever read, and so I only gave it 3.5 stars. But basically what this book is about is we're following Rowan and Isla. Isla is our main female main character and our main male character is Rowan. How Isla and Rowan know each other is Isla's brother is Rowan's agent. He's like a pro hockey player and he's a single dad, and so basically what happens is he's been single for so long that his teammates end up hiring Isla to be his matchmaker to find him a perfect match. As any romance goes, they end up, falling in love. He's had a crush on her for a really long time. You're basically going through her trying to matchmake him, but they're slowly catching feelings. In this book, he's like very Grinch vibes, like he hates Christmas and he has a reason behind it. And obviously Isla is like very much Cindy Lou vibes, like she's obsessed with Christmas, loves it. So you're following this dynamic, and the biggest thing that I had an issue with, he wouldn't do anything Christmas related for his daughter whatsoever. But then his crush comes along and he decides, oh yeah, I would love to do Christmas activities, things he wouldn't do for his own child. I just feel like this book could have been so much better if we got more about the hockey. I wish it was a little bit maybe more sports romancy kind of, because I feel like along the way we kind of just lost the plot and just kept following the same repetitive pattern. And I was so close to DNFing it, and I thought, okay, I've made it this far, I might as well finish it. So that's kind of the main reason I gave it 3.5. It was very cute. I loved it for the holiday romance and the holiday vibes. Moving on, the second book I finished was Love Arranged, which is the 3rd book in the Lakefront Billionaire series. So this is by Lauren Asher. Lauren Asher writes such good billionaire romance stories. And in this book, we're following Lily and Lorenzo. And how these two originally meet is they meet on a dating app where Lorenzo's trying to find a fake fiance. He doesn't give her his real name originally. And so they meet on this dating app and they kind of get to know each other. And then they kind of stop talking abruptly and they end up meeting again in person, and you're kind of seeing the dynamic unfold of them, of her dealing with a lot of hurt of him kind of ghosting her out of nowhere, and he's running for mayor. And so they end up agreeing to be fake engaged. And so you're following that whole dynamic of those feelings coming back up, and she wants to be fake engaged to him for her own reasons of why she wants him to win mayor, and there's his reasons as to why he wants to win mayor. I gave this book 4.5 stars because it was so good. The fake engagement was amazing. I loved the backstory that we got of the two with the dating app and kind of seeing where that went. The start of the book, I will say, like, yes, you do get like all of the background of the couple, but it was very slow for me in the beginning, and I think that's kind of why I leaned more towards 4.5, was because it did take me a minute to get into it, which is very odd for me for Lauren Asher's books because I really love her romance series. And one thing that Lauren Asher does so well is her characters are very memorable, but they're multi-layered. And so typically each of her couples, someone in the dynamic or both of them deal with struggles and like have issues. So I will say this book does follow some grief. So just warning you there is like talk a lot about grief. And I will say I got choked up at some of the parts, and I feel like she handles those topics very well in describing them. Overall, I thought it was a really good book and she did a very good job with the whole series. I'm happy that it's completed, And yeah, I 10 out of 10 recommend anything by her. I love her books. The third book that I finished was Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, and let me just say, I love Ali Hazelwood. I will read anything that she writes. I love her books. I love the way she writes STEM romances. Now, I'm gonna warn you, if you read this book, I gave it 3.75 stars. And the reason is because it's not rom-com-y, and she makes it very clear in the author's note that this is not like a typical rom-com love story. It is very much like all focused on their physical connection, so there's not much emotional connection going on there. You're following our main two characters, which our female is Rue and our male is Eli. Rue works for this company that is being bought out by Eli. Her and Eli originally meet on a dating app. Like I said, their connection is very physical. It has nothing built on like emotional. They basically say from the beginning they're not relationship kind of people. It was good in the sense of this was probably one of her first books that was very much more focused on the workplace plot. And I will say I enjoyed that. It was very different for me to read something by Ali Hazelwood that a lot of it was focused on the workplace and what was going on there. I think I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed when we'd get to the chapters of them talking about them at work and like what they were doing and kind of the drama that was happening. But the reason I rated it 3.75 was because it started to get really repetitive. It was like workplace drama, talking about trauma that they're going through, their physical connection, work, and then just repeat. And it just kept going on and on and on. And I felt like we could have come to the conclusion of their relationship quicker. Like I said this year, I wanted to be a lot more pickier about my ratings and not just handing out 5 stars and 4 stars to everything. So when I'm reading, I'm a little bit more intentional about like, okay, am I entertained? How paced is this? What do I think of the characters? Just all of that. It just was getting repetitive for me because I felt like we were doing the same thing over and over and over, and I started to get a little bit bored. So I did read that one in audiobook and like multitasked while I was doing everything, and I felt like that was the reason I got through it so quickly, was because I could listen to it on like 1.5 speed and do everything around the house. Moving on to the last book that I finished. It was His and Hers by Alice Feeney, and let me tell you, I gave this book 5 stars. I was not expecting to find one this early, but this book was so good. It's like a psychological thriller slash mystery. If you love Frida McFadden and like her mystery books and how she writes and stuff, this book by Alice Feeney was so good. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to give any spoilers at all, but let me just tell you, she's really good at getting you to think what she wants you to think. Honestly, I don't know if I can say too much about like the characters without giving much away because it slowly reveals itself, but we're basically getting 3 perspectives in the whole book. You're following the reporter Anna, and then we're following Jack, who is a detective for the police department, and we're following the killer. You're kind of getting these perspectives of these 2 lives living separately and like their jobs and kind of what's going on, and then you see them 2 cross paths and you're kind of like, do they know each other? And then it kind of reveals stuff in the past and the present, and you kind of get to see how all of these characters in the book know each other and kind of what's happened from past to present. When I say Alice Feeney's really good at making you think what she wants you to think, she's not subtle. She puts stuff in the book and mentions certain things for a reason. There were a couple of things that I picked up on. I was finishing it actually last night and I was laying in bed. Every like chapter, I was covering my mouth like, oh my gosh. She's really good at like making you think you figured it out while you're reading it, and you're like, oh yes, and then she just smacks you in the back of the head with new information and you're like, wait a second, what? So I could not imagine like what the show's like because the book was so good. She did such a good job writing it, and she's probably becoming one of my new favorite authors. And I hate to compare her to Frida McFadden, but I feel like with Frida McFadden's books, I'm pretty good at picking up and figuring out what's gonna happen. With Alice Feeney, she's good at making you think you know, but you don't know. And so that's one of the reasons it was like 5 stars to me, because my mouth was just wide open like the whole last couple chapters of the book, everything unraveling. So yeah, 10 out of 10 recommend. If you love thrillers, if you love like murder mysteries, like psychological thrillers, that book was so good. These were all really good reads for January. Now we're gonna move on to picking my February reads. I thought about, there's a possibility that I might be doing like a book club pick. I'm in 2 like book clubs on Fable, and they're both like YouTubers that I watch, and so there might be a chance that I may sub a book out for something else. We're gonna get started. January was such a good month. I think we're gonna pick 4 or 5. I might pick 5. Okay, this says a thriller book. Okay, actually this is perfect. I know exactly what I'm gonna read. I just borrowed this from my mother-in-law. She hasn't read it yet and I was like, ooh, a Frida McFadden book. Like, I'm really into thriller / mystery right now, and I was just talking about her. I really like her books, but this one sounds interesting. This is The Teacher by Frida McFadden. Probably the fastest I've ever picked a book. The only thing I've read by her is the whole Housemaid series, and I kind of want to read her other books because I've heard that they're really good. And since my mother-in-law had this book, I was like, okay, you know, why not? On to the next one. A book with the number in the title. Wow, a number in the title? Why is this seeming like it's becoming a little bit difficult to find it? Fourth Wing. Okay, I've been really wanting to read Fourth Wing because it's a pretty good series is what I've heard, and so I've kind of wanted to start it. I don't think I have another book with the number in the title. I think we're gonna do Fourth Wing. I'm just gonna triple check. I think it is on Kindle Unlimited, but I'm just gonna make sure. Okay, it is on Kindle Unlimited, so I'm gonna download it. We have Fourth Wing. I'm gonna shake it up one more time. I did not expect us to pick these books this quickly. A book I know nothing about. I actually haven't read anything about First Time Caller. I just thought the cover was really cute, and so I did add that to my list. A Song of Shadow and Starlight. No clue what that's about. I saw it recommended on Pinterest. Quicksilver. I've seen stuff about it. It's like a romantasy, but I haven't read much on it. This is so hard because I'm like, do I want to pick another fantasy book? I think I'm gonna go with The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I remember when it was really popular, and I added it to my list because it said it was a book that it thought I would like, but I don't know the premise of it or anything, and I'm very curious because I want to get it read. It's like one of my books in 2026 that I want to have read. Okay, so that's book 3. Let's do book 4. I'm gonna get one from the bottom. Oh, I got 2. Book with a black cover. Dang, I really wish that that was a black cover. Caraval has a black cover. I've been wanting to start that. I think that's a fantasy book. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. Divine Rivals. Home is Where the Bodies Are, which is a thriller by Geneva Rose. Twilight. Oof, I don't know if I want to start that. The Hunger Games, I've been wanting to reread that series. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. That is a black cover, I would say. Powerless, wait, is that what the series is called? Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I'm gonna go to Spotify really quick and just make sure that none of the books in my library have a black cover. Okay, so we have a thriller, a fantasy, and it says it's a historical fiction. Maybe we'll go with Bride. I hate to do another Ali Hazelwood book, but there's just so many of her books that I haven't read, and I just feel like they're the easiest to do. Okay, so I have my 4 picks from the TBR jar. I think I decided I am gonna do The Do-Over by Lynn Painter since it is Valentine's Day themed, and that was my plan because I kind of want to read it in February. Our books are The Teacher by Frida McFadden, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and then The Do-Over by Lynn Painter. We have quite the TBR list. So I have 2 physical copies. I have Fourth Wing on my Kindle, and then I think we'll do possibly 1 or 2 audiobook to get through them. But I have quite the broad selection of books to choose from. This is gonna be interesting. I'm excited. I have quite the selection, and I did say I wanted to expand my reading taste, and this was a lot. 5 books might be ambitious, so we'll see if that's too many when the end of February comes along. But yeah, thank you for coming along with me, and I hope you guys enjoyed the reviews of my reading wrap up and picking my reads with me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!